Mema wakwaba eba eye nsempa efie ope eye Ghana yem politics nsempa dia men treat you say uni POG Media ento kese na mundi eye tas wo de na de bia hwe ye dwumadie no e fire de e fama ye subscribe like to dwumadie no share na ma for friends when sanka be kindly click on the notification bell no so send be the any news be to platform no so a onso wahunu de EOCO ene de e ba yen ra yensem ne fansem dodo na no enya de embrewa enche bia na yɛte sɛ ɛyɛ John Dramani Mahama ɔde ɛyɛ some FastTrack ɛyɛ court bi aba na kyɛ sɛ ne nyinaa anaasɛ kasa ne nini mu no ne nyinaa kɔkɔ wie sɛ saa court no ɛbɛyɛ dɛ ɛbɛ FastTrack anaasɛ ɔmo bɛma ɛyɛ the prosecution of ɛyɛ criminals a ɔmo wɔ NPP mu a yɛnsa aka ɔmo no ɔmo asɛndie no ɛbɛyɛ dɛ ɛbɛkɔ wano anaa ɛbɛkɔ intɛntɛm na ɔteeɛ no ɛm sɛ yɛnya any update bia about how their work is going and also how they are working. And so updates kakra bi ayede abane yesi yede bremo abra eye domlevo ede insem dodo na yede ifri ayesa akacho no mo yede ba wa may update a chese eye ni gisempa ya eye allegedly kanana and also allegedly omudwumadie no omo ahyase a chese ehon popoye no eye de ba yenkom yinkonkoti domlevo nsem of the tuja.
Daniel Yao is a former Auditor General of the Republic of Ghana. He's joining us via Zoom as well. Daniel, can you hear us? Good morning.
Good morning to you and your panel.
You see, when you humanize this situation, you understand why incensed and angry people are watching on a yearly basis what happens at the Public Accounts Committee. Is it the case that there aren't enough deterrent measures to, as it were, deter people from getting involved in these acts of corruption, essentially, that leads to the loss of hard-earned money or state resources, which we say we don't have enough of? That's why the president is recommending that something more needs to be done to deter public officers from dipping their hands into state coffers.
Yeah, I cannot agree more with that position. I think there is not sufficient deterrence to stop or prevent people from abusing public funds. One of your panelists actually made a passionate appeal or position on people stealing goat, which is about 1,000 Ghana cedis or maybe maximum 1,005 Ghana cedis. They are expeditiously tried and jailed. In fact, if we gather the statistics of people who steal gold in a year and compare to those who steal public funds in the millions, I think the public funds will be more. But we are not angry towards them enough. And I have said time and again that because there is not sufficient deterrence or consequences for wrongdoing, people keep doing. So let me say that the action being taken by the president is very commendable. It's good that we have dedicated or specialized courts that will handle these infractions that the Auditor General brings out each year or from time to time. Let me be quick to explain that the Auditor General uses that term, irregularities, not because that is the word that the Auditor General would have preferred, but it is a constitutional injunction. If you read Article 1875, Clause 5 of Article 187, it says Auditor General should bring to the attention of Parliament irregularities. That's why we talk about irregularities. But if you peruse the report, you see that the irregularities have been broken down to those which involve wrongful procurement or procurement-related cash management, stealing of stores, and etc. So those breakdowns have been done. So come back to the court, the special courts being set up by the president. I have said it, and I'll repeat that it's a very good initiative, and it will help us. However, the court per se will not change things. We need to do other things. That is, are they going to operate with the same laws and the same rules and procedures? Are we going to still allow trial of these crimes, which normally people like to say embezzlement, misappropriation, so that people don't even associate them with any criminality? Are we going to allow these crimes to be tried over so long a time that we pray there's a change in government, I have proposed that there is the need for a legislation to bring a closure to each type of crime, said that the judges must be given time frame within which they should finish trying cases. Of course, lawyers would like to defeat that. So we must be smarter than the lawyers by coming out with a law which prohibits stay of proceedings. You can't stay proceedings. The proceedings must continue to an end. And a judge who goes beyond the time limit must be held accountable for misconduct, so that cases of this nature will be tried expeditiously. But that is not all. Apart from that, the courts must be dedicated exclusively for these offenses. If they are going to be trying land litigation, armed robbery, divorce cases, and etc., the judge will now have to decide which case I would pay attention to. So if these are specialized courts, they should be devoted to trying these financial irregularities. I saw about 824 or so members, lawyers joined the bar this year. We can recruit several of them on even part-time basis so that these trials can go fast. We don't need to build new courts. When the judge in the existing court closes at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock or whatever time he closes, a new judge can come and sit in there. So we use the 24-hour economy that we are talking about. So that is very important. Another thing which we must do so to benefit from these special courts is change this need to prove beyond reasonable doubt that even though Daniel earns only 20,000 Ghana cedis a month and has been in office for 2 months, so he should have been making something about 480,000, but he has 20 million in his accounts. Now the law requires the prosecutor or the prosecution to prove beyond reasonable that he stole that 20 million. No, once we can establish beyond reasonable doubt that this money is in your possession or it belongs to you, then the onus should shift to you, reverse burden. You should not owe it a duty to explain to us how you got 20 million into your account, even though your salary per month is only 20,000. If we don't do this reverse burden, proving beyond reasonable doubt that the gentleman or the lady has stolen money is going to be very difficult. And I've always argued that corruption-related cases, corruption, financial crime, and etc., or economic crime related cases are very difficult to prove, unlike the other crimes. If there is a murder, at times somebody may be sitting somewhere watching how it happened, or there may be some other form of evidence, and society would like to come together to testify against that murderer. If there is theft, at times you steal the thing, they see you holding it, and you are coming out of the house. So there are evidence. But when it comes to financial crime or these economic related crimes, they are first committed in secrecy. They are committed by very intelligent persons, people who are very intelligent, said that they can wipe the audit trail, etc. So reverse burden will be very necessary. Someone was talking about internal auditor. Prof, I salute you for that, for elevating your internal auditor as a control for you. In fact, we say internal auditing is the control over all the controls. That is, they have the statutory duty to ensure that all the controls are working as expected, so that money will be used for the intended purposes and in line with the regulations. So we must change or amend the Internal Audit Act. Prof, being a good man, would like to use his internal auditor as a check on himself. Many spending officers or principal spending officers will not allow that. So we need to amend the law, take the internal auditors out of the domain or control of the principal spending officer, which is the best practice internationally, so that they can be a good check, because they are in there before the Auditor General commences his audit. The expenditure will have been incurred several months, if not years ago. So the internal auditor is there timely to at times not even recover, but to prevent the occurrence of that wrongful act. So I would like to conclude here by saying I commend the president for that initiative, and I commend the Chief Justice and all those who are involved there. However, there is the need that we change some rules. And again, let me end by saying that going to Public Accounts Committee, from my point of view, is a waste of time, because most of the times they even go in there and they don't show any bit of remorse to say that maybe I did something wrong. Even you find them smiling at us to show to people that now they are on TV. So I think the Constitution enjoins the Auditor General under Clause 7 of Article 187 that in the performance of his functions, whenever he comes across any item of expenditure or spending which is contrary to law, he should disallow and surcharge the persons or the person involved. This, I think, must be done and done properly. If you permit me, let me read or quote what the Supreme Court have to say in Occupy Ghana versus Attorney General on that.
Yeah. But before you make that quote, you know, you've said a couple of things which I want to drill a bit more into. If you say that a public sector officer or an employee, we know how much he earns, 20,000, and yet the person is living a certain lifestyle, owns a certain number of properties, and has a certain amount of money in his or her account that is not consistent with what the person is supposed to be earning every month. If there is a lifestyle audit, why should it be difficult for us to be able to detect any act of corruption? Because you say it will be difficult sometimes to detect if a public officer is engaged in corruption. Why is that?
You see, under the laws of Ghana or the criminal proceedings laws of Ghana, you must prove beyond reasonable doubt that the person committed the act you are complaining about. That, I don't know if you remember, we found some amounts of money were found in the house of Honorable Cecilia Adapa, if you remember.
Yes.
You hear the Venerable Okujeto saying that no law prohibits having such amount of money in your house. You must prove that she got it wrongly. And in court, that is going to be the argument. If the argument is going to be that, yes, even though I have 2 million in my account, does that mean I'm a thief? Show me how I stole it. What did I do? And the evidence, you will not get that evidence. That is why in many jurisdictions, including Britain and several in even Africa, they have passed that law that we can do a lifestyle audit to match your expenditure, your spending, not only your asset. At times we talk about asset, your spending, which includes your capital expenditure, which is your asset, plus your recurrent expenditure, how you organize funerals and birthdays, etc. We put them together and match all these expenditures against your known sources of income, gift or otherwise, and tell you that, look, when the two there's mismatch, there is no way you can make this amount of money out of the known sources of income. So show us. And if you are not able to show it, then there's a presumption of guilt. And I must say that even in Ghana, I argue that there is a provision under Article 286(4), which says that between your first declaration of assets and liabilities and the subsequent one, if the growth in wealth does not match your known sources of income, gift, or etc., then it is presumed that you acquired those assets contrary to the Constitution. I think we can.
Yo gusu a wohwe dwumadie no edema subscribe, like to dwumadie no, share na ma for friends so ensanka be kindly click on the notification bell no so send be any news be to platform no so am onso wa hunu de EOCO and de eba POG Media and sempa no dodo na de ho no munti yesremo de che na emfa sempa no enye de embrem yankɔ ne yankɔ gye ofam ye no na bra edomlego egusu a ordinance ego
expand on that and come out with a law to make it explicit or very clear to the court that when it comes to this type of economic or corruption related cases, once it can be established that Daniel has that 20 million in his account and Daniel is unable to tell us where he got it from, then the law presumes that Daniel is a thief and must be dealt with accordingly. That's the point I'm making there.
I see. And for those of you joining us also, we're on 3FM 92.7. We've moved beyond Poll Tracker, for those of you who have been watching, and then also we're live on the Voice of London Radio in the heart of the city of London. We'll segue into the next conversation, which is on this public sector corruption, a very, very concerning one. Dr. Zato, before you come in, because we have a lawyer.
Oh, you didn't allow me to talk about the Occupy Ghana Business Attorney General.
No, you're going to come to that. No, you will. You will. You'll come to it. I need you to read that because I have it as well on page 35 and 36 of that the judgment.
Great.
I'll take a look at that. But private legal practitioner Isaac Ejuri is with us. That point that Daniel Domelovo makes about the burden of proof in criminal cases that must be beyond reasonable doubt, so that even though there's a lifestyle audit that would then prove that this person, a public sector employee or an officer, minister, CEO of an SOE, earns, say, 50,000, but the person has billions running through their account over a period. A lifestyle audit is done. A certain amount of property is ascribed to the person. It's not enough to impugn corruption. If we're going to deal with, in his view, we're going to get serious with the fight against corruption, we must look at this differently when it comes to public sector corruption. Yeah. Is it one that you support from the legal perspective?
Okay, so really reverse burden has come up a lot in conversations around anti-corruption and also in money laundering across the world. You see in certain European countries, as you mentioned, Germany, Italy, and the likes, they have, very limited elements of, reversed burden, where an accused person will have to, prove that assets or expenses that he's made are not from illegitimate sources. The resources he's possessed are not. Now, it's important to understand that when one is standing criminal trial, we have the republic. There's a reason why we have republic versus that person, right? It's the whole state apparatus that is coming against this person. And so the law seeks to have a balance, right? And so when we say that, okay, the state is the one, all state apparatus bringing to bear on this one individual group of people for having, committed a crime against the state has the power, it has the resources, it has the abilities to be able to prove that crime that they are claiming that this person has committed. And that is why, as a matter of legal position, just of balancing the weight between the parties involved, let's say that you say that this person has done this, you have all the resources of the country to follow and prove that this person has indeed done that. It's a lot of hard work, it's a lot of difficulty, but if you lift that entirely off the state, we could see the chaos that could immediately happen, where anyone who is probably not liked, anyone who is probably, someone doesn't like your, prof's, public commentary and stuff, the next day they pick prof and prof is in court, and you have to, prove to the courts and to the republic that, that small baby Benz that you have, you didn't steal the money, and that's it can easily denigrate into chaos, where state power could be used against, individuals, and typically we say individuals are powerless against the state. The state machinery is so huge, and so you should do the hard work, of, really establishing that this person has done that. There are instances where once the state has, adduced evidence, to prove certain level, the onus then shifts to you, the accused, to, push back and demonstrate that the state is actually wrong or that they got that thing wrong, But to just, reverse burden generally, and to say that we think that the way you walk around, the way you dress, the cars you drive, you are living beyond your means, and so therefore we put you to court to come and answer to why you have the things you have. It could be a bit of a challenge, in terms of how you want to build a country.
That's good. A very, very important point there.
Look, if you just look, why is everybody saying that let's fast track these issues? Why is everybody saying that let's put speed into these issues? Why is everybody saying let's go use some
Specialized court, yes.
on this? Why? It becomes interesting because everybody is afraid of a nolle prosequa. Of late, people have seen how nolle prosequas have been abused and misused and have been used as tools to give sweetheart deals to political friends. And so what is happening? People are afraid that, hey, just look at this 7 nolle prosecutions given out. So people are now afraid that if you also wait, and maybe these people also delay their trial, in 2028 or 2022, when there's a change of government, then they will also get nolle prosecutions. So the renewed love for fast is because of nolle prosecutions. And I think that nolle prosecutions have been abused and misused. If you take a calculator and calculate all the money that the 7 cases have lost, just do a simple calculation of the money that the state alleged. And then you also take a calculator and look at the amount of money that this, you will see that they are almost the same or similar. So the question is that we flash down this amount of, let's say, $1 billion through nolle prosecutions, and now we are chasing $1 billion through prosecution. So that is what people. So, and I'm happy that you said it. We should not tinker with the fundamental human rights of people and their presumptions of innocence and guilt beyond reasonable doubt, just because we have gamed the legal system to benefit political friends. It has happened in the NPP, it has happened in the NDC. We've gamed the system. That is not the problem of the individual being charged. Look, to put it a little bluntly, we are 38 million people, Ghanaians, right? If it's the Republic versus you, it is 38 million people against you alone. Just look at the raw numbers. The state has everything. They have the military, they have the state intelligence, domestic intelligence, international intelligence, collaboration with the FBI. We've seen all these things. What is expensive? You, the individual, you cannot do that. You, the individual, you cannot write to the FBI to say, FBI, help me, give me this evidence to defend myself. OSP can do that, Attorney General can do that.
Okay.
You, the individual, cannot write to the CIA, FBI, all this, but the state can do that. So we should not tinker with these fundamental rights. Because we have failed, or we have been lazy, or we have been unwilling to punish people who have committed crimes because of other interests, including political partisan considerations. We should do that. But we can strengthen the existing infrastructure. We can make the existing infrastructure work. If we don't have enough lawyers at the Attorney General Department, recruit them and pay them equivalent private sector monies so that they can go. Okay. If we don't have this, then let's do that. Because there's a story told in this country that there was a politician or there were some politicians who were sent to jail because they have a big stomach. Or were sent to jail because, they look some way. Nowadays, if they do that, all of us sitting down here will go to jail. So that we're facing. So my point is that because it was believed that because he stole money, he was eating well, had a big today. We see that so please, let's not tinker with those rights, but we can inform the system to make sure we do it.
I just wanted, because part of the program is also aimed at educating the people, I want to find out from the lawyer, what are the basis for filing nolle prosequa? The way Zato projects it creates an impression as if it is a bad thing. If it is bad, it is bad. But are there basis? Are there no basis? My view is that, look, I'm a lawyer. I think I don't like you, so I try to manufacture some issues or cases or evidence against you. I take you to court and I have no basis. And I drag you through that public persecution, for a long time, and I don't have much basis, and power changes hands, and other party comes, they look at the facts of the matter, and they feel that, look, there was no basis for you to even subject that person through the process, then nolle prosequa may be activated. But this is what I know from an uninformed, position. Can you?
Any idea some no ABC at the amount subscribe like it to Median shame the ma afro and so answer and yet and kindly click on the notification bell on the send be any news be at the platform so also the EOCO and the POG Media and some panel yet the bed the bedroom to your bread now need details with the macram.